Thank you, Mr. Chairman,
Yes,
and
ma'am.
thank you to you and the ranking member for the warm welcome. I'm looking forward to working with the members on this committee. Mr. Turner, I appreciate the opportunity to meet with you earlier this week and look forward to getting more clarity on some of your positions and plans.
Yes, ma'am.
I want to start with housing supply. An issue that you've heard over and over again in this committee, because we hear it over and over again in our states, whether it is the rural areas like in Delaware, or in Delaware we have coastal areas, whether it is our nurses or our teachers or unhoused neighbors who are trying to find housing, or just young people, as Senator Kim mentioned, who are trying to get their first home. This is a crisis that is touching all of us. And you have publicly indicated that you recognize the growing need for high-quality, affordable housing in our country. The good news is, as you've heard, there's a lot of common ground here in terms of understanding that we have the challenge, bipartisan consensus, that reducing barriers at the local level will increase the supply of affordable housing, namely addressing zoning, land use issues, and cutting red tape. And this is something that I've worked on in the House, from my bipartisan Housing Supply and Affordability Act to my Housing Supply and Innovation Frameworks Act. And these policies have been endorsed by groups like across the spectrum, from Up for Growth to the National Low Income Housing Coalition. And in our meeting, you agreed that the federal government should share best practices in reducing barriers with localities. For the record, do you support legislation that would develop frameworks and best practices on zoning and land use policies to be used by local municipalities?
Thank you, Senator. It was great to meet with you, and thank you for your thoughtfulness and your service to our country. I'm always, as a former legislator, I'm always open to looking at the best possible legislation to meet the needs that we have, not only in our states, but in our country. And so as that legislation comes out, I definitely commit to looking and exploring that with you and your team to see if it will best benefit the mission of HUD.
Thank you. You also have told us that you believe that a happy, healthy, and productive citizenry all starts with housing, and I completely agree. You've said, but there are a number of critical programs that will make our citizens safe, healthy, and affordable, get affordable housing. But the Trump administration and the first administration made massive cuts to many of these. To start, will you commit to maintaining funding for the Housing Choice Voucher Program, which ensures millions of families have safe, healthy, and affordable housing?
Thank you, Senator. So what I do, and I've said before to you and your colleagues, I do commit to looking at all the programs that we have at HUD and to make sure.
That's a yes.
I look forward to looking into them, yes, ma'am, and maximizing the budget we have to make those programs better.
One of the other areas that we talked about, I think I shared with you in our meeting that I served as the Secretary of Labor in the state of Delaware. I tell people if I had another middle name, it'd be Lisa Blunt Jobs Rochester. So I am very much focused on jobs and the economy. But I asked you specifically your position on work requirements tied to people having housing opportunities in programs like Section 8. Could you share your position there?
Yes, ma'am. I heard a great quote, and it says that, our social safety net programs.
In the interest of time, can I just ask, do you support work requirements for a housing program?
Yes, ma'am. I was getting to that.
I only have a little bit of time.
And so I think that, it's good for people to work. And I think a great precedent was set.
But do you support work requirements tied to housing opportunities for public
Yes, ma'am. I think it's good. I think we should encourage people to work as their own assistants.
Yes. I just needed to get an answer. And then lastly, I do agree with Senator Kennedy as well about the challenge of extreme weather, what we're seeing, and that it is making harder for people to even secure a mortgage in most vulnerable areas. What role do you think HUD should play in addressing the insurance crisis?
When Senator Kennedy brought that up, it came to my attention. This is getting ready to be a huge issue. And I look forward to working with you and your team and the experts in the insurance, like our chairman, to see what we can do when these insurance crises come up, to learn as much as I can.
I look forward to working with you on that, and also further discussion on the work requirements piece, because the one thing we don't want to see is money shifted to, that kicks people off, and then it's used for other things. We want to make sure that those who are most vulnerable, because it just exacerbates the problem, and we don't want to exacerbate the problem. And I will end with, go Eagles.
Ooh.